Today we're talking to St Albans City manager Ian Allinson at Clarence Park, where the Saints have recorded a third successive National League South victory and 4 straight wins in all competitions. It's a game, Ian, where we had to dig in for long stretches. Billericay saw a lot of the ball, but it didn't really hurt us too much. And the game, 3 incredible goals, 2 for us and 1 for them, of course.
Yeah, it was when I see their starting lineup, David, and to be fair, their front 6 is probably a front 6 to die for in terms of the quality and the ability, and we knew it was going to be very tough, and we had to dig really deep, and we had to be really organised, and everybody had to do their jobs. I just felt that they scored the goal was the first time we really didn't get our shape right. We ended up getting a little bit stretched, and they picked us off very quickly, and then you see the finish was unbelievable. But it's probably the first time in the whole game we didn't have our shape quite right. But for the rest of it, I was really pleased. The boys have had to dig really deep today. You know, we've picked some niggles up and some injuries up, and 1 or 2 were feeling a little bit tired towards the end. And we've had to dig really deep. But again, to get the winner in the last minute like that was lovely from that side of it. I'm pleased for Sam because it's been a frustrating season for him so far. And to come on and do what he did, but he finished it like we know he can finish most opportunities in and around that area. I'm just disappointed he didn't do his flip at the end of the game.
A week ago today we saw a centre-half get a volleyed winner for us down at Eastbourne. Today another defender, absolutely staggering volley there by Tom Bender. Come back from injury, what a way to come back.
Yeah, and it was, as I say, he's been training hard, but nothing is better than games, and we've had to take him off. He started to cramp up in the last 20 minutes, so we've had to take him off there just to try and protect him really for Wednesday, because Tuesday, because we really are. Zane's groin was sore at half time. We managed to get another 25 minutes out of him, but they've not been playing any games. So with the games coming thick and fast, as Eastbourne last week, and then Hemel, and then again today, and then we've got another 3 in the next sort of 10 days. It's a big ask for the boys, and having Clovis sent off last week hasn't helped, and David Noble's picked up a bad foot injury. So it's been a teaser in terms of the injuries, and pushed the squad right to the limit today. But they've responded great, and as I say, they kept their shape, they kept their discipline, and lucky enough we come up with a winner in the last minute there. Well,
for the second successive game we had to change the team sheet with a player not surviving the pre-match warm-up. It was David Noble midweek and Ben Hurd today.
Yeah,
what's his condition?
Well, he's got a slight hamstring. He's got a slight tightness in the top part of the muscle, which is obviously causing him a few problems. He felt it was all right. He did the warm-up and still felt it was okay, but he just felt that if he was to sprint or do something, he'd probably do longer damage. So the decision was to pull him out and not take a risk with it, because, as I say, we thought it would ease off once the warm-up had been done, but he said it wasn't getting any better, and he just felt as if he sprinted it was going to pull, and that means it's like a 4 or 6 week job, where at the moment it might only be a week's job. So hopefully we can get him back in time, if not for Hemel Hempstead, certainly for Oxford City here next week.
Billericay, a lot has been made of their financial problems of late. Weekly wage bill allegedly cut from £25,000 down to £10,000, which is still enough to make you title challengers. What did you think of that?
I thought they were excellent. As I say, I think their front 3 are a handful. I would say their front 3 and people like Billy Clifford, and the way they move the ball, they get on the ball and make things happen, and I didn't think any of that lot wouldn't feel comfortable in the National League. I feel they've got National League players in there. So we knew that. We had to dig very deep. So the 2 centre-halves have responded really well to being put under pressure by them. We've had to ride our luck on a couple of occasions. We said we won. Dean's made a save in the first half, but we started to create some chances ourselves in the second half. The longer the game went on, we started to relax a little bit more on the ball. The game got a little bit more stretched out, but as I said to you before there, we've had to defend in numbers today and be disciplined in what we was doing.
You mentioned that terrific save that Dean Snedker made in the first half. Comes on the back of 2 excellent performances by him as well, so another great day. But funny enough, overall this was probably the quietest of the 3 games he's had.
I just said that, he just picked up the Man of the Match award, and yeah, I thought his performance on Saturday was better than today. So I felt defensively we defended really well. We've had to defend on the 18-yard line. We've had to defend in numbers. We've had to get bodies behind the ball, because as I said before, they're a force on set pieces. They look for the second ball. They've got big players who go and attack the ball in big areas. So we've had to defend in numbers, but also we've created a few chances ourselves. I felt the longer the game went on, Sam Merson's long throw started to cause them a few problems, and we had some big bodies going in. David De Gea, Lewis Knight, and David Moyo and Michael Clark, you know, they're all good headers of the ball. So we've got bodies going in there. It puts them under pressure, and you know they've not cleared the second ball, and it's fell for Sam, who's rifled it into the bottom corner.
It's funny really that we finished the game so strongly. First 20-25 minutes of the second half, we didn't see much of the ball. We had a few knocks, as you mentioned, and yet we took the game to them in those closing stages.
Well, yeah, I mean, we got to the stage where, you know, we didn't have nothing to lose. We had loads to lose, because I don't want to lose any game of football. But I just felt that the game was getting a little bit stretched out, and I just felt that it had taken a long time. But I just felt Percy and Solomon were then starting to get on top of their midfield players, because I felt for long periods their midfield players had dictated the play. We then started to get a little bit stronger going forward. Cal started to feel or see a little bit more of the ball down the right hand side. We brought Sam Merson on, who won a few headers, and we put David Moyo out to the left, and he started to get in. So from attacking side of it, we went a little bit more front foot, went very quickly from back to front, but Sam started to win some big headers for us, which put them under a little bit of pressure. And as I say, when they started to kick the ball out for throw-ons in that final third, it caused them a load of problems with the amount of height and pace that Sam put on the ball.
Our form going into December rather, I don't think anybody would have expected what's happened, but 3 big wins, and it really has set up the second half of the season, and particularly when we start New Year's Day just up the road at Hemel Hempstead Town. Yeah,
and as I said before, you know, continuity is massive in football, and I think, and I've said it and I'll keep saying it, you know, our season's been totally disrupted since the FA Cup fiasco. I keep making excuses, and I will make excuses, because it was a fiasco the way it was behaved by the FA. Us on a Friday being told we couldn't play the game, didn't know when we was going to play the next game, and then we had to go and play a game where we didn't know until the Thursday or the Friday whether it was going to be at one ground or another ground, and then we ended up going to Taunton 4 days or 5 days after losing that game, and then or winning that game, lost to Taunton, then missed a weekend, and then I think we missed a weekend with the opposing team that was playing in the 4th round. We're in the FA Cup, so we missed another weekend there, and then we went into the trophy, missed a weekend there, went to Truro, missed a weekend there. So it's been stop start since the 1st of October, and this is probably the first time we've had a real good pattern of play in terms of games. And I've said all along, if you look at our performances when we're playing week in, week out, we've got a good pattern of form in terms of picking up points. So the squad's going to be really tested going into New Year's Day, and then obviously we've got Oxford and Truro within 4 days after that. So it's going to be really tested, but that's what we set ourselves up for. You know, we're not in a position where we can have a 20 to 24 man squad. Unfortunately, we're stuck with a 18, 19 man squad. One of them, second goalkeeper, is only a young lad who's learning and doing really well, and a couple of young lads who are really making up the numbers on the bench. Why? You know, when everyone's available, because they need to go out and get some games elsewhere. But you know, young Jordan's come on today, and I thought he took the game really well in the last 15 minutes, and all he was looking to do was pass the ball forward, which was great, because he put us in some good areas and caused them a few problems.
It's only a few weeks ago in, you were talking of looking over your shoulder at clubs below us. Now you're looking at the other end of the table, I think. Well,
you have to, and as I said, you know, this league is one of them. I just don't think you can take anything for granted, David, in terms of you know, we have to work to our maximum. We have to be the best that we've got to be on every single game, and if we're not, we've seen it. You know, our performance against Chippenham, though I felt we passed the ball and played well, we didn't have the same intensity as we've had today. You know, and some of the performances against Bath was weak and was poor. So there's lots of us still to work on, but you know, every week we have to be at our maximum in terms of performance, and if we can do that, we can cause teams problems in this league. If we don't reach them heights, then I'm afraid that some of the teams in this league are a little bit better than us, and they'll pick up maximum points, and you know, we'll just be wiping our faces again and waiting for the next game. But it's nice at the moment, as I say. You know, we just put that big gap between us, because you know, injuries and suspensions and things like that do cause you a problem going into the second half of the season. But you know, let's take the last week as it's been in terms of the 9 points, and hopefully go and pick some points up at Hemel on Tuesday.
That's going to be tough, isn't it? You mentioned injuries there. It's carrying some into the game. No Clovis Campbell as well, obviously suspended. Hemel probably feeling a bit stung and hurt by losing down here, and they probably feel they didn't deserve to. It's going to be tough.
It'll be a tough game, and I've said it all along. I think they've got a fabulous midfield. They're probably not scoring the amount of goals they should be from the amount of chances they're creating. I see today they lost 2-1 at Chelmsford, but I think they scored really early on again. So they started the game really sharp against us here on Wednesday, and could have been sort of 1 or 2 up by the time we got onto the 15-minute mark. So we've got to make sure we start sharp down there, and it's going to be a tough game, because if we allow them the space and we allow them time to pass the ball, then they will hurt us. So we've got to make sure we get everybody back. You know, we've just had a good stretch now, and then make sure the players are available on Tuesday. What we've got, what we haven't got, we need to see where we are with David Noble. I doubt whether he'd be fit. I doubt with Ben Hurd be fit. Cal Costa's still feeling his knee and his ankle, but he's come through fine today. Zane's groin was a little bit sore, and Ben White's picked up a couple of nasty gashes down the shin and on the ankle. So we're going to have to see where they are before we obviously can make a decision on what sort of side we're going to put out on Tuesday.
You've been in this position so many times in your career, I suspect, Ian, a local derby. Do you approach them any differently?
Not really. I mean, obviously from the fans' point of view, it's vitally important, and that's the one thing I try and get over to the players. It's just not a game for us and for Hemel, but it's also a lot of pride and support from the supporters that need to be taken into consideration, because there is pride in what we want to do. We want to be the best team in Hertfordshire. I want to win the Hearts Cup this year, only because I want to be, you know, the best team in Hertfordshire. It's always going to be difficult when you've got Barnet and Watford and teams like that there, but you know, let's go and win that cup, and then we can show the supporters at the end of the year. But also, we've put ourselves in a position with these 9 points that, you know, we are just outside the playoffs, probably the best place to be. We have to be massively consistent in the last 20 games. And you've seen it, and you've been with me in the last 2 years, David, and we have a massive inconsistency in us in the second half of the season. But I'd like to think where we are now that we have a slightly different squad in terms of hunger, in terms of we're probably not as qualified in terms of the quality of what we've had in the past couple of years, but we've got certainly a lot of boys that want to go and run through brick walls for us, and hopefully they can keep pushing us on. But we've got to make sure we get a full squad to pick from. We've got to get everybody back fully fit, and pushing for places.
Well, thanks so much, Ian. It's been a fantastic Christmas and holiday period so far. We'll see if it can continue on New Year's Day when we go over to Vauxhall Road, National League South against Hemel Hempstead Town. Kick-off is at 3 p.m.